At Boise State Public Radio, we understand that not everyone is able to give financially. Did you know there are other ways you can give? We are looking for new volunteers to add to our ranks and have a variety of opportunities.
Who wants to volunteer?
If you're interested in a hands-on volunteer experience, visit our website under the Support tab to find out more at boisestatepublicradio.org.
Thank you to all the staff and volunteers who are part of Boise State Public Radio.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Samantha Wright, filling in for Gemma Gaudette. This is Idaho Matters. Well, when I woke up this morning, the National Weather Service in Boise had announced a heat advisory in the Snake Plain and High Desert today, from Ontario all the way to Twin Falls. The high temp today could hit 103 in the Treasure Valley, Upper Weiser River, and Malheur County. And as temperatures hit those triple digits, Idaho Power keeps a close eye on how much energy it takes to run all those air conditioners that people are using to stay cool. Our George Prentice sat down with Billy McQuinn, Idaho Power's Energy Efficiency Program's leader, to find out more. Let's take a listen.
Let's start off by trying to understand some terminology. When we, as lay persons, talk about, well, peak times, some people talk about the peak of the temperature or our usage. But for Idaho Power, in your world, what are peak times?
Yeah, great question, George. So peak times for a utility are the hours when the demand for electricity is highest and the power grid is under the most strain. So peak times for Idaho Power in particular are usually late afternoon to evenings, between like 4 and 11 p.m. when air conditioners are running more heavily.
And you use those peak times for a number of decisions, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We have our load serving operations group that is constantly monitoring the loads that are on our system with the generation resources that we have. And so the peak times is when they have to utilize those resources, maybe draw from other resources like demand response that they don't otherwise use.
By the way, in my mind's eye, I have this image, maybe it's a fantastical image, of a bunch of specialists in a huge room with gauges and numbers and maps. And, does Idaho Power have that kind of thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we do have an entire control center that's dedicated just to balancing the grid because, as a lot of people might not know, other than storage, things like batteries or our water reservoirs, electricity usage has to be matched real time with its generating resources. So it's an ongoing, continual balancing act 24/7.
Okay, so let's get into some programs. And up top, we need to talk about a program where you can give us a possible credit on our bill through something called cool credits. What are cool credits?
Well, cool credits are specifically referring to the $5 monthly bill credit that's available during the summer to the customers that are enrolled in our AC Cool Credit program. So eligible customers will get those credits on their July, August, September, and October bills for their participation in our residential demand response program.
Talk to us how it works. Do you come to our home? How do you set this up?
Yeah, there's actually two ways to participate. The first being our longstanding, what we call AC cycling option. And this is where Idaho Power has what we call cool switch that we come and install directly on or near your air conditioning unit in your home. And that talks to Idaho Power through our AMI system, so through our metering system. And when there is an event, we send a signal and it cycles your air conditioner on and off for a certain percentage of time during the event window, which is a maximum of 4 hours. And so it doesn't just shut it off, it just cycles it so it's not running as often during that time. That's the first way to participate. The second way to participate is newer. It's just launched this year, and it's almost available to most smart thermostat owners, but we call that the smart thermostat demand response option. And so you would utilize your own smart thermostat within your home. And in that case, instead of installing a device on the AC unit, we let the thermostat manufacturers know that we're having an event. They send a signal directly to the thermostat.
Wow.
And that the thermostat will just make a couple degree adjustments. Sometimes they do some pre-cooling, so you're not as, you don't experience the discomfort during the event. But basically, it just sends a signal directly to the thermostat, and then the thermostat increases the temperature by up to a couple degrees during the event.
So you've said we need to talk about what events are. So how do
Yes.
you determine events?
Yeah, so the events occur in our active season is anywhere between June 15th and September 15th. The events are no more than 4 hours each. They're no more than 16 hours per week and no more than 60 hours per season. But basically, the last 3 years, we average five or less events in a given year. But what happens in an event is Idaho Power looks at the system, like that group I mentioned that is balancing the system goes, hey, you know what? This is a really great time. Maybe prices on the market are high. Maybe a generating resources down. Maybe the load is just high enough that it's a good time for us to call an event. So they let us know. We send out all those signals I just talked about. And then during that time, the residential program in particular is focused on air conditioning. So it'll cycle the air conditioners or increase the temperature in the home so that they're drawing less for that up to 4 hours during that event window. And they typically occur between 3 p.m. and 11 p.m. They're only on weekdays, non-holidays, unless there's a system emergency in the very unlikely event that would ever happen.
And you said you're averaging about 5, so that means not every day, not every
Oh
week, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
In the last 3 years, it's been 5 or less. In years prior, it's been more. So we kind of go by that. It could be up to 16 hours per week and up to 60 hours per season. So that's just something to keep in mind.
That
But
said, we still
customers,
get the credit though, right? No matter
we
what.
still So with the cycling option, you still get the credit.
Mhm.
You always have the opportunity to opt out of events.
Mhm.
With the new smart thermostat option, because it's a lot easier to opt out right on your app. So you could go in your smart app and say, yeah, not today.
Okay.
In that case, we do require that you participate in at least 50% of the event hours in a given
Oh,
month to get the credit.
well,
Yeah.
here we go with the ultimate debate on thermostats. So I've got friends and family who have they run it pretty high, and then I've got just as many that run it very low. And as a matter of fact, I read something in the Sunday Times this week. Let's see, I've got this here, that the average office building in the U.S. has a thermostat set at 71 to 73 degrees. And that is from the chief executive building operations from Caldwell Banker, largest real estate services. Do you have like recommended ranges of what our home or business, what our thermostat should be set at?
For a business, it's a little bit different because sometimes, as a business, you want to keep it cool enough that you're going to draw people in off the street, right?
Right.
In an office environment, I know it's a long-standing joke about needing to wear your winter clothes in the summer
Right. Yeah.
because of the air conditioning being so cold. But for a residential customer, it is a very subjective thing. We always say, to align your thermostat setting with your comfort and your budget. But for more specifically, the U.S. Department of Energy does recommend setting the thermostat at 78 degrees during the summer.
Mhm.
That's when you're home and awake to help balance that comfort and energy savings.
78. And of course,
78.
it helps us to manage that so that when we're leaving for a full day, we grab our keys, we head for the door, but take a look at the thermostat and adjust that. Yes?
Right. So that's the other side of that is that's when you're home and awake, but when you're away from home or even at night, if you raise your thermostat by 7 to 10 degrees above your normal setting for 8 hours a day. So if you are away from your
Right.
home
Okay.
for 8 hours, then that can reduce your cooling costs by as much as 10% per year.
Say that one more time.
Yes. So if you make that adjustment, 7 to 10 degree increase when you're away at least 8 hours a day, that
Wow.
can reduce your cooling costs by as much as 10% for the year.
I'm certain you've got some other ideas for us, including how we manage our AC units and our filters and all of that.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we have some really high impact recommendations, and those include things to do with your thermostat. Like I said, we say align with your comfort and budget. In the warmer months, each degree you raise your thermostat can reduce your cooling cost by 1 to 3%. So that is one way to kind of keep that in mind.
Mhm.
We also recommend replacing your furnace filter. Never let your filter get too dirty or clogged, since that prevents the airflow and it makes your HVAC system run longer. And then that just costs more. So replacing that dirty filter can lower your AC's energy usage by 5 to 15%. So it's a
Wow.
pretty substantial impact. The other thing we say is use ceiling fans and floor fans and box fans instead of reducing the temperature in your system. So Fans can make you feel up to 4 degrees cooler and help kind of maintain your comfort in occupied spaces. But we do also want to caution that fans cool people and not rooms. So when you leave the room, we just say, hey, make sure to turn off the fan so you're not just wasting energy, because it's not actually cooling your room. It's just making you feel a little cooler when you're in it.
And then there's our appliances, right? Our big ticket kitchen appliances, things like ovens, things like that
Yeah.
during the summer.
Yeah, some of our no cost options, we say minimize your oven use when possible, because it does add just extra heat to your house. So you might want to take advantage of cooking more meals with your crock pot or your pressure cooker or your microwave, or keep the heat out of the house entirely by just grilling outside. Another no cost option is closing the windows and blinds during the day when you're away, especially for windows on the east and west facing sides. We also recommend, if safe to do so, if the temperatures are cooler at night and in the morning, to open your windows and let some fresh air in.
Your title, Energy Efficiency Programs Leader, is impressive, but tell a layperson how you spend your days.
Well, I'm fortunate to work in the very exciting world of just helping other people learn to be more efficient by managing their energy use. So specifically, I lead a team of people that are responsible for developing and operating our residential energy efficiency rebate and education program. So that is our sole focus, is ensuring that people have the information they need to be able to manage their energy use, and then the programs that are cost effective, that allow us to give rebates and incentives to people to make good energy efficient decisions.
That was our George Prentice speaking with Billy McGuinn, Idaho Power's Energy Efficiency Programs leader, about keeping cool in the record-breaking heat.
And that'll do it for this episode of Idaho Matters. Make sure you check out our podcast feed, because you can find more episodes of topics that might be interesting to you. And for more local news and headlines, make sure you subscribe to the Connector podcast. And if you haven't yet, could I ask you to leave us a review wherever you listen? We read every single one, and we'd love to hear from you.
Each story you hear on Planet Money starts with a question. What happens if we refund tariffs? Why are groceries so expensive? At NPR, we stand for your right to be curious, because the forces shaping our world can be hard to see. Follow NPR's Planet Money wherever you get your podcasts and start seeing how the economy really works.